and get that to 3 to 1. We're live. Here we are. It's Michael and Sam and Harrison, and this is the Beck Scrum. And yes, so today, what happened in the morning? Gosh, I had the meeting with Charles talking about the new showcase site, talking about a launch on July the 8th. Managed to record more videos for week 1 for the MOOC, which will be going live shortly. And I've just been pairing with Michael on more of the events thing. Any thoughts on what we're pairing on, Michael? Want to summarize what we're doing?
Covering time zones with more tests. Indeed
we are. Yes. We've pushed out some fixes to the time zone things, and now we're kind of getting more tests on there. Yes, and Harrison, yes, you were saying you've just started the MOOC, and you just had a quick question about pairing. Do you want to just, I know you said before, you want to repeat your question so we get it captured in the Scrum?
Yeah, basically, I'm new to MOOCs. I'm new to the idea of pair programming, but I'm open to the idea. It just seems I have a bit of a, let's say, concern about the organization or the structure of the pair programming.
Sure.
You know, my background is I've done traditional college-based courses, university courses. And in that situation, it would be quite easy to organize a pair for yourself. You'd be in the classroom with other students, and you could you could speak to them because this course is online. And the fact that in order to pass the course, you're required to do pair programming, but it's online. Then I just had a thought now. I went to the chat room, Gitter. Basically, the rooms there are dead. And I was just thinking it might be, from my point of view, it might be a better idea if the instructors assign people to work with each other.
Yes.
If that's a possibility, or have a bit more of a structure.
Yeah. Well,
letting people find each other.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
because to do that online, it can be a bit difficult.
Sure. Yes. I mean, we have done. This is not the first time in the course where we've run pair programming, and we have a lot of people have very successfully pair programmed in the course. But it's. I mean, I would say, the Gitter room is dead maybe at the moment, partly because no assignments have been released yet, and so there's. I think you may well find once the first assignment gets released this Thursday, Friday, that there'll be a lot of people out there looking for pair partners, and it will become. Potentially quite easy to find somebody in the chat room if you're willing to hang out there. However, I can still understand one having concerns about using the chat room as a way of connecting up with people, and also ending up connecting with people around. Who are they? These other people around the world. I don't know them, and so on. So something we certainly could experiment with is more, instructor specification of who is pairing with who. I think the difficulty there is, in a course with people all around the world, all different time zones, it's difficult to know who are the people who match. I mean, we could be doing something where we say, we get people to do a questionnaire in advance, and they fill out, this is my time zone, this is my time's availability.
Yeah, this is my time zone, this is my language.
Right, and then we match them up on that basis. My concern in particular is what we've seen is that people will say lots of things about, oh yes, I'll be available in advance, and then you'll get all set up to be available at that time, and then they won't be there. So that's sort of why we've gone for this kind of, everybody just say when you're available, make an event, and then other people can join you at that time. And if you specify when you're free, and you stick to that, and you can do that, rather than relying upon there being one other person who's also agreed with you to be available at that time, you can just see who turns up at that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I'm certainly not saying that's the best solution, and I think your suggestion is an excellent one, and I'd love to get you, in working out how, other ways in which we can help people get pairs. The thing you mentioned, study groups. I think that's there's various people that saying San Diego study group, Boston study group. I think if there's a local area study group where you could actually meet people in person and then pair with them, that's another great idea.
Yeah, I mean, Someone else was after forming a local study group, and I think the response he got back was it didn't really make sense, and I kind of agree with that response because you've got students all around the world, so a study group doesn't have to be local,
Oh, it
but
doesn't have to. No, you can make an online study group. Yes.
They have to, but at least there has to be some common standards such as time to meet and language, I think.
Sure.
And I think that probably would work quite well, as opposed to just saying, oh, it's got to be local to this city or.
Sure.
Or
yeah.
state.
Well, I think people are free within the MOOC to try, but I think through the forums we're not structuring it particularly. I mean, maybe we should be imposing more structure, but yeah, people are free to set up city-specific or language-specific or any kind of study group that they like. And if you want to make suggestions in the forums, I mean, I'll certainly. I appreciate you coming in here and making the suggestions. Back you up, and anything that we can see that provides traction in terms of moving forward, we'll try and support.
Do you know about the functionality on Agile Ventures? You joined this Scrum, right, through the website, I assume?
I assume Harrison came in through the Slack. Is that right, Harrison?
No, I came in through Agile Ventures.
Through the website. Great.
Yeah. I mean, basically, I've signed up and joined up all the recommended, so Slack, Agile Ventures, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We've
Go on, Michael.
implemented some things on the website so that when the assignment rolls out, there'll be links that'll take you to the Agile Ventures, and you'll sign up for an account, and then you can create a pairing event. And when you launch that pairing event, a link will be displayed in Gitter. So probably on Friday or whenever it's released. Sam?
Yeah.
Probably on Friday or whenever it's released, you'll see a lot of pairing links in that Gitter. And if you could either set up your own pairing, or just sit there and click on the first one you say and see how it goes.
So yeah, and you and I were chatting originally in the Gitter chat, right, Harrison?
I think I probably came in the Gitter. I probably came across as more anti pair programming than I wanted to. It's not that I'm really anti the idea. I've never done it before, but I was just, for want of a better phrase, I was just playing devil's advocate, just asking the questions because I don't know. Well, actually, have you had any feedback from students on previous courses, Sam, about how they feel about the interaction because on this type of course?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Where they're not in a traditional classroom.
Yeah, absolutely.
For lack of, I don't know, a lot of interaction.
Yes, I mean we've had so we've been running the MOOC now with pair programming in it for about 4 iterations, and when we first introduced it, and it was entirely optional in the first introduction, it was a cause of some controversy, and we had a lot of discussions, and we've made a lot of changes. We were following that agile process that the course is all about in terms of the delivery of the offering. So in particular, and maybe I don't know how much time you've got, Harrison, but Michael and I, we were just working on something, and maybe there's an opportunity for you here, Harrison, to see Michael and myself actually doing some pairing. But so,
yeah, sure.
I mean, there are so many different aspects to the pairing, and there's so many different discussions. So far, you're the first person who's, I think, really articulated, the kind of request. Could you structure it more for us? Could you possibly assign a pair? And I'd be very interested in exploring that. And if you stay involved, looking at that with you. Just an example of how we've taken feedback into account from previous runs of the course is that. So one of the things we've just added now into this ability to create these events is we've just added in this time zone thing that when you go to this, navigate to this page, it automatically selects your time zone, because one of the pieces of feedback that we had from previous students was that, okay, I'm creating my event, but I have to do it in UTC time, and so that's really kind of complicated and difficult, and it makes it difficult for me to create an event at the time when I know I'm going to be available. And we actually had one student from the previous run of the course working on that, and what Michael and I are doing now is we're polishing those changes. So you're getting, hopefully, fingers crossed, some of the benefits from that feedback from the student from the last run of the course. I'd love to be doing something similar with the feedback that you're already giving me. Shall we perhaps, obviously we're connected to a number of different channels. Michael and I will just carry on working on this thing, and you can maybe just observe how we work on this, and then we can have a longer. And it's also a discussion I would love to bring other people into. So, for example, if you did a forum post expressing some of these ideas, maybe you have already, or you just send me a link to it, and then we can kind of bring like lots of people in and maybe generate some interesting ideas off the back of the discussion. How does that sound?
Bring my.
Sorry, say again.
You're muted.
I think Harrison is muted now. Well, I'm hoping what I said sounded reasonable and good stuff. So Harrison, you're muted now, and I'll just you can potentially unmute if you mouse over your. So I'll show you on my screen, Harrison. If you mouse over the Hangout, there's this the mute on and off. I think I can't unmute you remotely. Yeah. No. There you go. Yeah. So sorry, Harrison. What were you just saying?
You're muted again.
He's muted again. Oh dear. I wonder if maybe he's typing and that's causing him to mute. Well, go ahead, Harrison.
Hello.
Hello there. You all right?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. You were muted there a couple of times.
Yeah. I just had to have a quick discussion with somebody here.
Oh, sure, right.
But yeah, I'm back now. Basically, I'm just looking at my laptop's battery.
Okay, well, not to worry. Anyway, I mean, I think I'm going to carry on doing this bit of preparing with Michael now. You're more than welcome to observe. I'd love to carry on this discussion with you and bring in other members of the community. So maybe have you posted something to the discussion forum about this?
No, I've just been reading what others have been saying, and
yeah.
It sort of triggered a couple of ideas.
Sure.
But I can certainly follow up your suggestion of posting to the is it to the discussion?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I
love that because
go on.
Because I've noticed that there's a student on the course who's actually in the same country as I am.
Yeah.
But he seems to speak good English.
Mm.
And I was thinking, if there was a study group in roughly the same time zone, it would help me to learn and to get my feet under the table in terms of learning all these new things, basically.
Yeah. Totally.
But the idea of the study group is that it's more than just a pair that you would have in the pair programming. The pair programming, as I understand it so far, is you've got an assignment, you have to do it in pairs, one drives, the other watches, and then you switch roles. Yeah. But the idea of the study group is, as a group, you discuss, the study group for people on the course.
Yeah.
You're on the same time zone, and the study groups in the same language.
Yes.
To discuss the concepts that maybe somebody else.
Yes, absolutely, and you know that Mentive. So there's a company. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Harrison. Just you're describing that great idea, which you'll forgive me for interrupting you, because Mentive do run study groups exactly as you're describing with a paid mentor, but you're absolutely free. Everybody's free to create their own individual study groups and so on. But if you've got particulars about those certain sort of study groups, I've just posted you the link to the discussion forum. Where what I would do is, maybe rather than telling me about it right now, because I need to get on with this work with Michael, is if you could write down all of those thoughts in a forum post, and I'll get back to you and we'll get the thoughts of the community, and maybe we'll help you set up some independent study groups if that's what you want to do. Yeah.
Okay. I'll probably post today, probably later on today.
Yeah, well, whenever
But what I was thinking. Okay.
that sounds great. All right. Well, yeah, and feel free to hang out and watch while Michael and I do a little bit more work here.
Okay. I just sort of observe for a few minutes
Yeah.
and see.
No problem. Great stuff. Okay, so Michael, so where were we? We were at this situation. We had rewritten this cucumber test, and I think we'd realized that it's not actually testing in the same way.
Right.
And the critical thing here, I think, seems to be that, so in this test that we have here, we are initially checking for a user in one time zone, and then we're
not checking after that.
Well, we're sort of checking for the
right.
both the show page and the edit page for the event, but we're doing it both in both cases in UTC. But we explicitly specify the dates, and so we see the difference. Whereas in this case, what I've done is I've
stored the dates in instance variables.
Well,
right?
I've stored the date in an instance variable. I mean, I would still sort of expect this to fail because. Say again.
I said I would think it would fail.
Yeah, I mean the thing is because in this case we're
page, right?
Yeah, in this case we're checking these values in the daylight saver sorry. Okay, we've got that. Well, I've done other things here that's edits an event with the date in the standard zone. Yeah, so it's editing that event, which is correct. And so, now in this case, when it visits the edit event path, it should be doing it in UTC. So I would expect, what we'd actually expect is that these should be different.
Yeah. But it's passing.
But it's passing with them being the same, which is kind of strange. I wonder if that's because we're now I just check.
Is that click or link save actually working? Like you're on the event path then? Apparently, because you're checking that on 173, right?
Yeah, 173 is saying that we're on we're now on the. I mean, what we kind of want in some ways is to be able to run. We would like to run this with, Selenium or Poltergeist and actually see it stepping through those, each individual item. Yeah, that's. And this one, it fails. I mean, it would be nice to know what the start date and start time are coming out here as. Shall I go in for a bybug there? So this is feature 61. Well, this full foul of okay, so we're here, and so the start date there, start time. Okay, so that seems like okay. I think I've discovered the source of the problem. I think I'm doing this script execution before we load the page.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is interesting that didn't throw an error.
Yeah, I think that there's like a kind of. I think it didn't throw an error because basically I was.
Oh, because you've.
It's basically it was in UTC in both occasions.
No, I mean that the JCT said determine that JavaScript didn't throw an error.
Right.
That propagated up through the step. I thought it used to do that.
Well, I think maybe it didn't because the sort of initial state that we're in here is it's on the events index page.
Right.
Because we load that on every page.
Load it on every page, yeah.
Yeah, which I would love to fix, but anyway.
Right, bye, Harrison.
Oh, bye, Harrison. Take care. Good to hear from you.
Bye-bye.
So, yeah, so in principle now, if we rerun that should fail. Yeah, see, I think it's, from the point of doing agile development, it's really valuable to potentially have access to our users like Puneet and Harrison and so on there. At the same time, it's, yeah,
Right.
okay, so that now fails in the way that we expect. And so, in principle, if we move this back to the way that it's there, excuse me, then
Guess you gotta get going soon, right?
yeah, in about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Then that also fails. Okay. And that's because this will need the same thing again here.
Right. So it is slightly different than the original test.
It's slightly different because we're in the original we're comparing the thing against the non-UTC against the UTC, whereas this test is checking that the non-UTC ones stay the same, undefined method zone, right? I guess. Yes. I think it raises lots of questions in my mind about best practice with Cucumber. Bah. What's wrong there? Oh, God. Ah. See, we've got an option here, about whether to reinsert Europe London,
right,
or whether to turn it into another instance variable.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's something that I notice in the order grader definitions that yeah, so like the results being passed, that I think this is a common pattern that I've seen in the Berkeley students, and I think Armando encourages it in his class, is the use of.
Can I say that again?
Sorry. This is so here. This is the steps for the order grader.
Right.
And so it's just we've got these activities, and then we're setting instance variables, and then subsequent steps are
in the same scenario.
They're relying upon those instance variables to be in a certain state. Anyway, so that's now passed.
Thing is, they could be silently nil.
Yeah, I guess we've got this thing for
so.
we've got this idea with Ruby methods and or whatever this from the functional camp that says that we shouldn't have side effects. We shouldn't be making state changes as a result of method calls. Although it's clear that it's unavoidable if you want to record anything or to do anything. We've got there's things like I guess to the extent that we were going to maximally reuse a step like this, when they save without making any changes, we would like that to incorporate, I guess, a check that says that no changes have been made, kind of thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, I think I think I'm tempted to set the zone as I think this is. I mean, this kind of thing is the repetition of the same term over and over and again. I think makes the thing less readable. Would you agree?
I mean, I'd leave it.
Leave it like this for the moment.
Leave the zone readable.
Okay. So, given daylight savings are in effect now, and a user in Europe London edits an event with start date in standard time, when they save without making any changes, then the event date and time should be unchanged in Europe London.
I mean, you could save the zone.
Yeah, I could just do.
Say in step 63. Wow. I don't know. I
mean, the funny thing there is, we've got lots of options and more rope to.
I mean, you could extract it into a step, like given daylight savings are in effect now, and a user is in Europe, London, and you probably want to say the user, right? I mean, not a user. Wow. That makes sense how you wrote it, and the user edits an event with start date and standard time. Do you see what I'm saying? Or maybe you don't like that.
You're just saying it should be the.
Well, I'm saying given daylight savings are in effect now, and the user, given daylight savings are in effect now, and the user is in Europe, London, and then that's its own step that you set the time zone, and it sets that time zone, and then wow.
Well, we have this thing where we have to visit the event page before we do that step.
Right. Well, yeah, but you don't have to put Europe, London in every step, right? That's what.
No, absolutely. Oh, right. Yeah, you mean? Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like you would. Right. And
edits.
Right, you're saying that and the user is in Europe, London, and I mean, I guess if we've got all the ones in terms of should this be and I am in?
Yeah, I guess if you want.
And I edit an event. With a start date in standard time. When I save without making changes, then the event date and time should be unchanged.
Right.
Yes. I felt it was kind of easier to read in the third person.
Well, other way around, but
I mean, I think that the key thing is I think what your suggestion here is, and the user is in Europe, London, can be used to set the zone that we then refer to later on.
Uh-huh.
So the suggestion there is that given the lens of effect now, and then that zone, and then we just do and edits an event with start date and standard time, and then that becomes at zone there. Why is that complaining? What's wrong? Duplicated step definitions options. Oh, okay. Yeah. When they save without making changes, then the event date and time should be unchanged. I kind of, there are so many questions in my mind, and which are the ones that are even worth pursuing?
Give it a few days.
Yeah. Maybe I should be writing more blog posts. I think we've got a nice little thing here in terms of this being more readable than this.
Yeah, definitely. I think it expresses what we're testing.
Yeah. It seems to me that there's a level of which, if we really wanted these tests to be reliable, they would kind of also need to point to the part of the code that should be changed in order to break them. Do you know what I mean?
I guess. I mean, isn't that what unit tests are for?
Well, it seems to me that the unit tests are unreliable in that regard.
I mean, in an ideal world, every time a cuke fails, a spec fails, right?
Yes, but I'm more it's in the situation where you want to refactor a test.
Right.
You know, you need to know that it still fails in the right way. And I think what I've seen...
Right, that's a problem. That you refactoring tests is a problem.
Yeah. And it seems to me that to make refactoring tests easier, what you should be required to do is specify the part of the code that should be changed in order to make the test break.
Oh.
But I'm being... Oh, we've got some other kind of failure. Well, I haven't changed... Why am I getting a fail there? Undefined method. What's that? What? Edit past event 49. Edit past event feature 12. Have we somehow broken independence between these things? What? I mean, I was going to say, Pong, and maybe you would. I mean, I was about to copy those two, place somewhere else for later reflection, and remove. Okay. I seem to have a order dependency there of some kind. $49. Why would this affect any of that? I guess that's an intermittent failure of some description. Hmm. And I guess also in the ideal world, we would be starting off by writing tests like this and then driving all of our functionality creation through that. It just seems
Uh-huh.
huh. Hmm. So in principle, we can get rid of this, that one there, factors scenario to be more declarative. That's all pushed up. But so in principle, I guess all of these could be rewritten in these terms.
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess you have to go soon. A couple minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
I just pulled it down. I'm going to run the cubes, but it should be passing, right?
Fingers crossed. Yeah. I mean, I'm a bit disturbed by that. What seemed like that intermittent timing failure there, but it passed individually and then it passed in group in batch again. I'll run BC there.
They all passed 7 scenarios.
Okay.
I guess we'll see what Travis says.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, semaphore.
Yes. So it feels like there's a number of different options there. A sensible one, I guess, is like refactor other scenarios to be more declarative. It's an interesting question about whether that, you know, having done that, would we still use a scenario outline?
Maybe.
And the questions are, do we need more tests? One of the things I think is that we've got doing all of these tests for editing past events. We should be, you know, these scenarios should also be there for future events. But, you know, are there other dimensions to check? And I guess it's then, at some point we say, you know, if we are satisfied with the tests, we start make changes to the underlying system. Say that, it occurs to me, you know, like we're mocking something we don't own here.
Yeah.
as we are in the Jasmine test?
Should never have introduced you to that concept. Now you keep saying it over and over again.
Oh dear. Well, I'm not going to insist that we. I'm just again. It's
Keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I would love to see in the long run is that we're doing this, like, there's a process of extracting domain terminology here, and what would be nice to see is pulling out of different parts of the systems, domain terminology, like a domain model emerging. And therein it seems like the unit tests would be making sure that the internal domain model was coherent, and so that when we want to then move on to doing things like ensuring that we represent users in here, or I'm really starting to feel that the show page for events is looking a bit rough, if you ask me.
Really?
Well,
why is that?
I think one, that it says that it only shows the next scheduled event. It doesn't show you things like what are the days of the week on which this repeats, right? It doesn't tell you, much else about the it seems to me that there's a few choice pieces of information that might be shown on this page that would be helpful, such as who originally created the event, historically who's attended it, but I guess that come back to the point, which is, to the extent that the domain model improves, then it should become easy to, that's the concept from domain-driven design, right? Is that
expose more information,
right? And or expose the things that we want. Cool. Anyway, are you around on Thursday?
Yeah, I should be.
Cool.
All right.
I'll see you then. Have a good day tomorrow.
Okay, have a good day. Bye.
Bye for now.